A soldier in the storm. Point of view, Thorn Madden. The rain hit sideways on Dyrell, 7. Thorn couldn't remember the last time he'd seen a clear sky, or slept more than 2 hours straight. Out here, at the edge of known space, everything smelled like static and metal. The war between the human colonies and the Cellari Alliance had burned through planet after planet, and now they were scraping over moons like Dyrell, dead, cracked rock with little strategic value but high symbolic cost. Thorn crouched behind a collapsed comms tower, the mud soaking through his uniform. His rifle was jammed, and his squad was gone. Probably vaporized in the first strike. The Cellari hadn't sent in troops, they dropped sonic mines from orbit. Most men never heard them coming. But Thorn had. His ears still rang. He wiped blood from his brow and peeked over the twisted metal. Movement. Sleek shadows, too graceful to be human, darting between debris. Cellari scouts, slender as blades, their armor like liquid obsidian. He ducked down again, cursing under his breath. His only chance was to move at nightfall, sneak through the broken industrial zone to the evac point near Sector 12. If the Cellari didn't catch him first. But luck had long since abandoned Thorn Madden. A sudden snap behind him. He twisted, heart slamming. But it wasn't a scout. It was her. She stood maybe 7 paces away, half shrouded in mist, not armed, not armored. Not quite human, but close enough to unsettle him. Her skin shimmered faintly, like moonlight on oil. Her eyes were too large, pupils vertical like a cat's. Long black braids twisted over her shoulders. She looked at him like she wasn't sure what he was. "You're bleeding," she said. Her voice was soft. Not what he expected. "You're Cellari," he said flatly. He raised the useless rifle. "Bluffing." She tilted her head. "That's broken." He didn't answer. He wasn't sure what game this was. No one just approached an enemy soldier in the middle of a battlefield. Especially not a Cellari, and especially not one unarmed. "Why aren't you calling in your people?" he asked. She looked past him, toward the blackened skyline. Something about her expression shifted, sorrow, maybe. "I don't belong to them." A distant rumble echoed through the air, gunships, probably. Thorn glanced back instinctively. When he looked again, she was closer. He froze. "You'll die out here," she said. "Come with me." "Why?" he asked. "So you can interrogate me in some glowing prison pod?" A flicker of amusement crossed her face. "We don't all work like that." She reached toward him. He flinched, but she didn't touch him, she simply opened her palm. "Choose, Thorn Madden." His name in her mouth made something twist in his chest. "How do you know who I am?" "You're not as invisible as you think," she replied. "And we've been watching." "Who's we?" But she didn't answer. Instead, she turned and began walking toward the trees beyond the ridge. Not fast. Not threatening. Just, expecting. Against every instinct, he followed. The cave was hidden beneath a cliff overhang, sealed with a kind of living stone that pulsed at her touch. Inside, it was cool and dry, lit by bioluminescent vines that curled along the walls. Thorn staggered as he entered, exhaustion catching up to him all at once. She offered him a flask of something sweet and metallic. He drank before he could think better of it. Warmth spread through his limbs. "What is this place?" "Safe," she said simply. "And you are?" "Seleth," she said. "I used to be a prisoner in my own palace. Now I live here. Where no one owns me." Thorn sat heavily against the wall. "You could have killed me. I still might." He barked a laugh, then winced. "I believe you." A silence settled between them. Then she said, "I know you think we're monsters." He glanced at her. "You invaded our colonies. Glassed entire cities. What should we think? You only see half the war. She turned to look at him. The other half is buried in blood your people won't admit to. He hated that a part of him wondered if she was right. That night, he dreamed of fire. Of his brother, burned alive in the siege of Corinth. Of explosions that never stopped. Of metal rain and white-hot screams. When he woke, his face was wet. Seleth was watching him. Your pain, she said. It echoes in you. He turned away. Don't try to understand me. But she already had. The next few days passed in a haze. Thorn's wound healed faster than it should have. The cave was deeper than it first appeared, and Seleth had built something there, gardens, machines, even old tech he couldn't identify. She had been alone for a long time. And he wasn't sure when exactly the fear turned to fascination. Or when her presence stopped feeling alien. One evening, as the sun sank below the jagged hills, Thorn asked the question he'd been holding in. Why save me? Seleth was quiet for a long moment. Then, finally, she whispered, because I dreamed of you, long before I saw your face. That doesn't make sense. No, she said. But it's still true. And for the first time in years, Thorn didn't feel like a soldier. He felt like a man on the edge of something vast, something dangerous, and maybe beautiful. The Glass Garden. Point of view, Seleth Rin. It had been a lifetime since Seleth last heard her true name spoken aloud without malice. She whispered it now, as she walked through the glass garden beneath her sanctuary, Seleth Rin. Daughter of a warlord. Born into command, chained to expectation. But no one called her that here. Here, in the hollows beneath Dyrell's crust, she was no one. No title. No rank. Only a keeper of memories and life among dead stone. She passed rows of crystalline flora, glowing with soft hues of blues and golds, each humming with a breath-like rhythm. She'd cultivated this garden from fragments smuggled off-world, from specimens rescued before planets fell to war. It was her rebellion. A piece of something gentle in a galaxy that only knew conquest. And now a human was in the middle of it. Thorn Madden sat beneath the curved arch of mirrored vines, watching her. He didn't speak much since she brought him here, and she didn't press him. Humans, she'd found, were like wounded animals, half fire, half fear. But Thorn, he was different. He didn't flinch when she walked close. Didn't demand answers. He observed. Asked strange, soft questions. Things like what do these plants sing? Why do you keep saving me? And do you miss your home? Home. A word that felt both sharp and warm. You're staring again, Thorn said, breaking the quiet. She blinked, caught. You're strange, she said. So I've been told, he smirked, then looked at the plants. What is this place, really? Seleth hesitated. Then sat across from him on the curved stone bench, her long braid falling forward. It was once a Cellari listening station, she said. Buried deep, meant to intercept rebel transmissions. When the war turned, they abandoned it. I came here afterward. I was supposed to die during the fall of Tyrus, but I escaped. You faked your death. No. Someone else died in my place. I just didn't correct the record. Thorn leaned back, exhaling. So you disappeared. I refused to be used. I wasn't interested in being married off to cement an alliance, or paraded as a symbol of purity. I wanted to grow things. Protect things. Like this garden. Like this planet, she said softly. It's broken, yes. But it breathes. And no one listens. He was quiet for a moment, then said, You're not what I expected. What did you expect? She asked. Something colder, he admitted. More lethal. You're the daughter of Oryx Volthane. She tensed at the name. I was, she said. But he hasn't spoken to me in 5 years. As far as he's concerned, I died a dishonor. Silence. Then Thorn reached toward one of the glass-blooming vines. And this? He asked. What is it? A Tethros orchid. From Zelra 4, it sings in magnetic pulses when it blooms. Can humans hear it? She tilted her head. No. But you can feel it, if you listen through your skin. Thorn closed his eyes, letting his fingers brush the petals. I feel it, he murmured. Like a heartbeat. Seleth smiled. You're listening. Over the next days, he healed more. Walked more. Helped her maintain the garden. He asked about the plants, the soil, the light filtration tech she repurposed from Cellari drones. It became a rhythm, silence in the morning, soft speech in the evening. She didn't expect to like his voice. It was rough, but when he spoke about nature, it softened. One night, as they sat beneath a canopy of luminous ferns, Thorn asked, Why did you really bring me here? Seleth didn't answer right away. She looked toward the deeper chamber, where a long-dead artifact Saturday it was an ancient Cellari memory archive. It had survived the purge of Tyrus. She'd spent years decoding fragments from it. Most were corrupted. But one name came up again and again, Madden. Your family has history with the Cellari, she finally said. We fought on your world once, long ago. You carry bloodline memories. Some of our technology still recognizes you. What does that mean? I'm not sure yet, she admitted. But you were meant to cross my path. Thorn frowned. You believe in fate? I believe in connection, she said. In threads between lives, sewn before birth. He looked away, uncomfortable. I'm just a soldier. You're not just anything. And she meant it. On the 10th day, the silence broke. A deep tremor rattled the stones above. Thorn was on his feet in seconds. That wasn't natural. Seleth checked a monitor buried beneath her workbench. Her expression darkened. A scout probe, she said. One of ours. It must have picked up your vitals. Thorn's jaw clenched. Then they're coming. Yes, she said. And not for a visit. He stepped toward her. We have to leave. She didn't move. I can't. Why not? Because the archive is here, she said. And it holds pieces of what happened to my world, why the war started, who betrayed who. I need that truth. If I leave now, it's lost forever. So we fight, Thorn said. She stared at him. You'd stay. I don't even know where home is anymore, he said. But here. With you. That's starting to feel like something real. She stepped close. Closer than ever before. You don't belong to me, she said softly. Maybe not, Thorn replied. But I'm choosing you anyway. And under the soft hum of the garden, as war crept closer, their hands found each other. Shadows over Telvan Core. Point of view, Bryn Salas. They always called Bryn a traitor. In hushed rooms. In briefings. In the silence after he walked past. Didn't matter that he'd saved more soldiers than he'd lost, or that his intel had helped end the siege of Timra. He'd once turned against command, chose people over protocol. They never forgave that. Now, they just used him. He sat alone in the belly of a Shadow-class transport, watching the moon Dyrell 7 rise like a scarred eye below. His armor was black, unmarked. No insignia. Mercenary, assassin, retrieval unit, he wore all those names like knives strapped to his ribs. Target confirmed on the surface, came the voice in his earpiece. Madden. Presumed compromised. Intel suggests he's being harbored by someone. Possibly Cellari. Bryn didn't respond. You copy, Salas? I copy, he said. He knew Thorn Madden. Not well, but enough. A solid grunt. Disciplined. Didn't whine. Didn't run his mouth. The kind of guy who kept his head down and his team alive. But if Command was right, and Thorn had gone dark for 10 days while snuggled up in a Cellari hideout, something had changed. And that made him dangerous. Orders, the pilot asked as they descended into Dyrell's atmosphere. Quiet drop, Bryn said. No noise. No fire unless fired on. The ship peeled off at low altitude, cloaking shimmer activating. Bryn stepped toward the bay door as it opened, wind howling like ghosts through the breach. He jumped. The drop took seconds. Gravity felt heavier on Dyrell, like the moon was trying to keep him. Bryn landed in a crouch near a broken ridge and activated his camo. The suit flickered, bent light, erased him. He moved like water. His target was in the eastern quadrant, Sector 9, old Cellari ground, abandoned structures, overgrown tech, low activity. Too low. Scans showed biosigns, 1 human, 1 Cellari. Intimate range. Bryn narrowed his eyes. He crept forward through the jagged terrain, boots barely brushing stone. The further in he went, the stranger the air felt, warmer, laced with faint pulses of power. Like the ground was dreaming beneath him. And then he saw it. The entrance to a hidden chamber, masked with living stone. Cellari biotech. Old. Almost sacred. He breached it with a ghost touch. Inside, the world glowed. He saw glass vines and bioluminescent ferns, glowing like breath. The place was alive. Not in the way battlefields lived, in agony and chaos, but in stillness. Purpose. And he saw Thorn. The soldier sat near a glowing arch, his back to Bryn. Unarmed. Relaxed. Cellari mind control. No, he was talking. To her. Seleth Rin. Bryn stepped closer. Listened. If they come for me, I'll lead them away. You stay here. Protect the archive. I won't let you die, she said. You already saved me. That's enough. Bryn's jaw tightened. They weren't captor and prisoner. They were something else. He stepped from the shadows. Thorn saw him first, froze. Instinct kicked in, reaching for a weapon he didn't have. Easy, Bryn said. I'm not here to shoot you. Seleth moved in front of Thorn. Bryn studied her. Graceful. Not armored. Glowing slightly, like a storm caught in a bottle. So it's true, he said. You're alive. She didn't blink. And you are. Bryn Salas. Retrieval Unit. Your name used to be on our most wanted list. Until you died. Funny, she said. You're trespassing in my home. I'm not here for you, Bryn said. I'm here for him. Thorn stepped beside her. I'm not leaving. Bryn's brow lifted. You realize what this looks like? I know exactly what it looks like. You've been missing for 10 days, Madden. You're with an enemy fugitive. Intel reports say you might be compromised, biologically or mentally. I'm not compromised. I'm awake. Bryn stared at him. That's a hell of a line. You came to kill me, didn't you? Thorn asked. Bryn hesitated. Then, I came to retrieve you. Dead if necessary. Seletha's hand flicked toward her waist. A knife, small and curved, slid into view. Bryn raised a hand. I'm not your enemy. Then leave, she said. Can't, Bryn replied. Command's watching this place. You've got maybe 20 hours before a full sweep. Once they triangulate your energy signature, they'll glass this whole region. Then we run, Thorn said. And go where? Bryn asked. You think the Cellari will take you back? Your own people will brand you a defector. You're done, Thorn. Maybe. But I'm not leaving her. Bryn looked between them. Something in his expression shifted. You love her. Thorn didn't speak. He didn't have to. Bryn sighed. Damn it. They sat around a projection table deep in the archive chamber. Maps flickered above, showing old Cellari paths through the subcrust. Escape routes. You can't outrun a satellite, Bryn warned. You'll need a jammer. And I've only got one. Seleth leaned over the map. What about the Telvan core shaft? Bryn blinked. You know about Telvan. I was raised in the palace above it, she said. There's a hidden route that leads through the coolant tunnels. It's unstable, but it might still be open. That tunnel was sealed with phase stone during the purge. Then we unseal it. Bryn rubbed his jaw. If we use that route, I can get you two as far as the Talvan Basin. There's a decommissioned outpost. With luck, an old signal relay. From there, you'll need new names. New faces. And you? Thorn asked. I'll tell Command I found you dead, Bryn said. Just bones. Burnt and broken. Easy to believe on Dyrell. You'd lie for me. I'm not doing it for you, Bryn said. I've seen this war twist good people into monsters. You're the first guy I've seen who walked away instead. He stood. We leave in 2 hours. Seleth and Thorn walked the garden one last time. She touched each bloom like a prayer. We won't ever come back here, she said. We'll build something new, Thorn replied. She looked at him. You don't regret it? Walking away from everything? He took her hand. You're everything now. As the sun rose on Dyrell, 7, 3 shadows disappeared into the cracked horizon. Beneath the glass garden, the archive pulsed once. Recording. Remembering. Waiting. Echoes in bone and blood. Point of view, Thorn Madden. He never thought he'd feel fear like this again, not the battlefield kind, but the kind that crept in slow, like a sickness. Fear of losing something fragile. Fear of what waited outside the small circle of light they'd carved into the dark. It started 2 days into their escape. The coolant tunnels were worse than he'd imagined. Narrow. Choked with old fire damage and sharp shadows. Seleth led the way with steady steps, her skin glowing faintly with the energy that came from her lineage, an energy he still didn't fully understand. Bryn moved like a ghost, always a few feet ahead, checking corners, scanning for signs of drone patrols. He hadn't said much since they left the garden. But when he did speak, it was sharp. Surgical. Stay low here. Sensor grid up ahead. Hold your breath, gas pocket. You hear that? Run. Thorn tried not to feel like dead weight. He wasn't. He had soldier's instincts, field knowledge. But Seleth was the one who saw the secret locks in the stone, who spoke to the earth like it might answer back. And sometimes, he swore it did. On the 3rd night, they camped in a forgotten chamber, carved with old Cellari scripture. The markings glowed when Seleth walked past them, responding to her presence. It's memory stone, she said softly, as Thorn traced one with his fingers. Etched with blood and light. Only responds to those who carry the line. What do they say? They speak of the oath, she replied. Not to a flag or a ruler, but to a rhythm. A bond to protect balance, to never let the stars fall silent. And yet, your people started a war. She didn't argue. Just looked at the wall, quiet. My father, he broke the oath. Twisted it into law. He believed in order, no matter the cost. I believed in life. Thorn watched her. Do you think he's still looking for you? She hesitated. I think he knows I'm alive now. And somehow, Thorn knew that meant the danger was far from over. They passed the halfway mark by day 5. And that's when things began to change. The tunnels narrowed, grew hotter. Cracks in the walls leaked energy, unstable radiation from beneath the planet's crust. Seleth grew weaker with every hour. Her steps slowed. Her glow flickered. Thorn took her arm as she stumbled. "I'm fine," she murmured. "You're not." Bryn turned. Scanned her with a handheld device. Her biology's shifting. The radiation is scrambling her internal flow. "Can you stop it?" "Not here," Bryn said. "We need to get to the basin. Fast." Thorn nodded, gripping Seleth's waist as they pressed on. Each step now felt like a gamble. The walls shook more often. Old tremors. And with each one, the fear in Thorn's gut coiled tighter. They reached the mouth of the Telvan shaft on the 7th day. It was collapsed, just as Bryn predicted. Thick with phase stone. Unpassable by normal means. Seleth stepped forward, her body shaking. "I can open it." "You're barely standing," Thorn said. "It's keyed to my blood," she replied. "This stone is Solari made. It won't respond to you." "Then let me carry you through it," he said. But she was already cutting her palm with the curved blade she always carried. She pressed her hand to the wall. The stone pulsed. A low hum rippled through the earth, and light crackled across the surface like lightning caught in amber. The wall shuddered, groaned, and then began to pull apart. Seleth collapsed. Thorn caught her before she hit the ground. Bryn moved fast, covering them as the tunnel opened. "You've got 60 seconds, he barked. "Before it closes again." Thorn scooped Seleth into his arms and ran. They emerged into a hollow basin, sky visible for the first time in days. Seleth stirred, groaning, her glow returning faintly. Bryn checked the relay tower built into the cliffside. "Still alive," he muttered. "Barely. I can ping a scrambled beacon to draw a smuggler ship. But they'll want something in return." "Credits?" Thorn asked. "No," Bryn said. "Information." Seleth sat up. "The archive. You memorized parts of it, right?" She nodded weakly. "Then you trade." "You said you weren't doing this for us," Thorn said, narrowing his eyes. Bryn looked at him. "I lied." The smuggler ship arrived 3 hours later, an old dark-class freighter piloted by a woman with silver eyes and half a jaw made of alloy. "You the ghosts who poked the bear?" she asked. "Depends," Bryn said. "You the kind who honors a deal?" "Depends," she replied. "What's in it?" Seleth stepped forward, shaky but standing. "I can give you coordinates to a vault with Solari memory crystals. Untouched. Unscanned. Unclaimed." The smuggler smiled. "Now you're speaking my language." They boarded. As the freighter lifted into orbit, Thorn stood beside Seleth at the viewport, watching Dyrell shrink below them. "We made it," he said softly. She leaned her head against his shoulder. "For now." "What's next?" he asked. "We find a world that hasn't been touched by war. And we plant something. A garden. A future." As the stars stretched ahead, Thorn realized something simple and terrifying. He'd fallen in love with a woman who carried galaxies in her blood. And he would follow her into fire if she asked. Because she had already walked through it to reach him. The Oath Reborn. Point of view, Seleth Rin. The stars felt different now. Not distant. Not like weapons waiting to be aimed or maps waiting to be conquered. They felt alive. Fragile. Aching with old wounds and soft with new promise. Seleth sat at the edge of the observation deck, her legs tucked beneath her, eyes tracking the lazy arc of a blue-tinted planet just beyond the freighter's glass. A safe world. Or so Bryn promised. "They call it Irenal," Thorn said behind her. Not much there but water and silence. That sounds perfect, she whispered. His arms wrapped around her, warm and grounding. They'd made it. Somehow. Against war and orders, bloodlines and betrayals, they were still breathing. But peace was never quiet for long. Their first week on Irenal was a dream. They found an inlet at the edge of a glowing forest. Purple-leafed trees bowed over a silver lake. Bryn stayed only long enough to build a signal scrambler and disable their traceable biometrics. If Command ever finds out you're alive, he told Seleth before he left, they won't come to talk. They'll come with blades and bombs. I know, she said. He paused before boarding the smuggler's ship again. You ever think about fighting back? I'm done with war. He looked at her like he almost believed that. Then he was gone, shadows swallowing him once more. Months passed. They grew vegetables. Learned the call of local birds. Slept without boots near the door. Seletha's glow softened but never vanished. Thorn's hands grew rough with work instead of war. They made love beneath a sky with twin moons and whispered promises with no clocks counting them down. And for a time, it felt endless. Until the day the child spoke. It was a girl from a neighboring settlement, small, bright-eyed, completely human. She wandered into their garden one morning, barefoot, drawn by the colors Seleth had coaxed from alien soil. Your house sings, she said to Thorn, pointing to the vines growing along the outer wall. It hums when the stars are out. Seleth went still. How do you know that? Thorn asked gently. I hear it, the girl said. It sounds like old stories. Stories? From before the noise. Mama says only the line-born remember them. Seletha's breath caught. Line-born? The girl nodded. That was an ancient term, one only the Selari elders had used, before the rebellion. It meant one who carried the unbroken echo of the oath in their blood. Pure. Unshaped. Dangerous. What's your name? Seleth asked softly. Nem, the girl said. And with that, she ran back into the woods. Seleth turned to Thorn. Someone taught her that word. You think the Selari are here? Not just here, she whispered. Watching. That night, she walked into the forest alone. And found the firelight waiting. A figure sat beneath a tree, cloaked in glass-thread robes, skin shimmering with the same starlight that once ran in her own veins. Sister, the figure said. Seleth stepped back. You shouldn't be here. And yet, you are. Breathing. Blooming. Forgiving. I didn't forgive. I left. But you still carry it. The figure stood. It was a woman. Older than Seleth, but with the same eyes, deep silver. Same blood. They call me Inari, she said. I was one of the Oath Keepers. Hidden when the culling began. The war ended that, Seleth said bitterly. But the Oath didn't. Inari held out a hand. Light sparked in her palm, a glowing sigil made of memory. You were born to carry this. We all were. But only you remember the words. The true ones. Seleth looked away. I gave that up. You gave up the throne. Not the truth. The oath was simple. Not a vow of violence. Not a claim to rule. It was a promise to protect life in all its forms, especially when power made that hard. Seleth had walked away from it because her father twisted it into tyranny. But now, a new generation was whispering the old names again. I'm not a queen, she said. Good, Inari replied. We don't need a queen. We need a gardener. Someone who knows how to plant something where war once burned. When Seleth returned to Thorn, he didn't ask questions. Just opened his arms. And held her as she whispered the truth into his chest. In time, others came. Quietly at first. Line-born. Orphaned. Forgotten. Human and Cellari and those who never fit either. They didn't ask for weapons. They asked for guidance. And Selith gave it. Thorn helped them build homes. Raised towers that caught starlight. Taught them how to listen for the hum beneath the soil. They built a village that felt more like a song. And one day, Thorn stood beside Selith under the twin moons and gave her a ring he carved from Irenal crystal. "Will you walk with me," he asked, "until the stars go dark?" She smiled. "Only if we can plant flowers in the shadows." Years passed. The oath was reborn, not through bloodlines or crowns, but through love. And when their daughter was born, glowing faintly like fire caught in dusk, they named her Sola, a name that meant both sun and echo in the old tongue. She carried no throne. No army. But she carried the story. The story of a soldier who was claimed by a fugitive. Of a girl who gave up eternity for a mortal's hand. Of a world that had forgotten how to dream. Until love taught it how to remember.